Before I start and become Mr. No, Dr. No, I just want to take an opportunity to thank all of you for actually being here and for being concerned, whether you're law enforcement, water treatment, general community, reverse distributors. I personally really appreciate everything that you guys do to try and make this happen for a multitude of reasons. I also want to thank Jeannie for mentioning the fact that it doesn't always metabolize in your body, because a lot of that is what is in your water. So we're going to go through a couple of things here. Basically, just to give you a little overview of DEA, our mission is to make sure that there are enough controlled substance pharmaceuticals to meet the medical needs while hopefully making sure it doesn't get diverted. And the way we do that is we have what we call the closed system of distribution. We register everyone who touches the controlled substances from the point it enters from either a manufacturer or an importer to the point where it goes to the ultimate user. And that's where it became a problem back in 2010 when they passed the Secure and Responsible Drug Disposal Act, is because that would bring it back into that closed system. So our goal is to work on my PowerPoints better. The regulations became effective on October 9th, 2014. And it's very important, and to me, while I like clean water just as much as the next person, I can tell you that most of what I see, the problems that I see, are where it's coming from first. And it's that little kid there at the medicine cabinet. It's generally a teenager, but still the kid at the medicine cabinet, removing it for a non-medical use. So, take-back events. How do you get the final three options were take-back events, mail-back programs, and collection receptacles. So, take-back events can be run by law enforcement. The officer has to be there. The officer is in charge. The officer is responsible for the drugs. The officer takes the drugs back. The officer deals with the drug destruction. So what happens with a non-law enforcement event? The same exact thing. There really isn't anything known as a non-law enforcement event. They are always there. Here's my first point, because originally they were like, oh, don't go into regulations. We've got somebody else doing that. And then I had someone come up and go, wait, they can't do that, can they? And unfortunately, this is my first part of being Dr. No. Take-back events with law enforcement. Jeannie, we're going to have a talk, because we're not going to be allowed. We're going to have to figure out a way. If you're doing it for some sort of statistical purposes, we're going to have to figure out a way to make that happen, because under 1317, 21 CFR 1317, please write that down. You can't count. You can't touch. And there are some specific reasons why, and we'll get into that because I still have 12 minutes. If you're going to be hosting a take-back program, you have to follow the rules that are in 1317. I can't get around that. You can't get around that. We could probably morph a little bit. It's like, oh, we'll dump it all into here, and then we'll lock it up over here, as opposed to having some sort of drop-off kiosk. But those are the regulations that have to be followed, and those regulations will also deal with if you're going to have a kiosk at the police department. So, mail-back programs for sale, given away, you all have talked about that. Goes back to the DEA registrant for final destruction. Collection receptacles, only the authorized hospitals, pharmacies. They can also put them in long-term care facilities. Strongly recommend you push people towards that. Just like Best Buy now takes back your computer because it was filling up the landfills and dropping mercury or whatever else, it's the same thing. Until Best Buy, Home Depot, until they felt the community pressure to actually take stuff back that they sell, they didn't. Your pharmacies are pushing the same way. They don't want to do it. And I'm so glad there's no pharmacies in here, so I can do my whiny voice. And I get her 3 minutes. They don't want to do it. It's going to cost money. We're going to have to raise candy bars by 5 cents. Raise candy bars by 5 cents. Come on, people. I understand that it does cost money. Absolutely. And everything is the bottom line in a business. But don't tell me that you don't have money. Maybe some of the mom and pops have to do a little bit and charge 5 cents more a candy bar. But your chain stores Don't tell me they don't have money. Fourth option, of course, is that the police departments, if you have one there, fabulous, that's great. I'm proud of you. You follow your own standards of operating procedures as to what you do with those drugs that you collect. Please do not put your kiosk outside your building. You know, we discussed this and we laugh, but yeah, that was a question, and hopefully you're not in here. The other thing is that for those of you, I'm going to jump back a little bit on take-backs. Somebody in Denton County, because I know there's a lot of Denton County here, somebody in Denton County had a take-back program or had a take-back event. They did not contact their law enforcement until afterwards when they went, ooh, what do we do with all these drugs now that we've got it? Now, it got to Denton County Sheriff's Office and they've taken care of it. If you're in here and you haven't been told that you can't do that again, I'm here to tell you, you can't do that again. It happens. We understand it happens. I just haven't been able to establish who it was in Denton County, so I don't know if Denton County Sheriff's Office told them. No. So, take back. NTBI, National Take Back. We did try to stop it because we were hoping that the pharmacies would step up, and they didn't, so we came back. Our next one is October 28th, 2017. Normally, we don't give out the dates that far in advance because I guess we always kept hoping that the pharmacies would step up. It appears that headquarters has finally accepted the fact that this will be us forever. It's fine. October 28th, 2017. Wow. Okay. So 79,418 in the great state of Texas, 916 in Oklahoma on April 30th, 2016. We had a rain day. But in addition to the rain day, Oklahoma, do not feel bad because you have something that Texas does not. You have OBN. Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics puts kiosks at all over the place. I'm not sure there's a police department there that doesn't have one. And then after and then OBN goes around and collects them all and destroys it for them. So Oklahoma leads the way, and God, it really hurts me to say that, but you know, should have worn a Longhorn something. But very, very good, Oklahoma. But you'll notice pretty much that the numbers for Texas are, and so y'all know there's an opioid epidemic. So now we're going to say just exactly how bad it is. And I'm not going to, you know, harass on it too much. But, so you've got one death every 11.6 minutes on an opioid. These numbers continue to go up. There are more people that die from overdoses of controlled substances than there are from motor vehicle accidents. A large number. So, those of you who've actually seen these PowerPoints, you don't get to answer this question. We make up 5% of the world's population. How much of the world's hydrocodone do you think you make up? Anyone? How much? I heard more than 50, I heard an 80, I heard a 90. Anybody want to go higher than that? Huh? 98. You're getting there. 99.5. What's in your water system is part of the problem. What's in your water system is because of the amount of drugs we take here in the United States of America. 70% of the population is taking at least one prescription drug. So the question you have to ask yourself is, in addition to saving the water and getting the drugs out of the medicine cabinet, is what else can we do? Why are we at this point? We're at this point for a couple of reasons. One was in the early 90s, you had pain, the fifth vital sign. If anyone is a nurse or a medical professional or ever went to a doctor and they said, look at these happy faces and say where you're at. Because pain was underdiagnosed. Probably was. Pendulum swung. Purdue Pharma came through and said, here's this drug and it's non-addicting. Here's our research to prove it. Several years later, they paid a $600 million fine. But in the meantime, all the medical professionals were taught pain's your fifth vital sign, and this drug is non-addicting, and so it wasn't until 2016, so mid-90s to 2016, that the CDC finally came out and said, hey, maybe that's not the best for acute pain. Maybe that shouldn't be your first drug. So if we're using 99.5% of the world's population, or world's hydrocodone, What is the rest of the universe doing? They're not all in pain. They're using a combination, acute, again, I'm talking about acute, not chronic pain. Acute pain, got my wisdom teeth out. They're using a combination of Motrin and Tylenol. And they get actually a higher percentage of pain relief from those two drugs, and then you don't have an entire medicine cabinet full of hydrocodone. So this is just really bad. That's called the Trinity, if you can't read it, because it's in blue. It's a combination. If you hear your kids talking about this, is just for your own education at this point in time. Trinity, hydrocodone, oxycodone, a muscle relaxant like Soma, a benzodiazepine like Xanax. Trinity, Holy Trinity, cocktail, very big on your streets. And the tablets, the hydrocodone or the oxycodone, the opiate at the top, that is going to be $1 per milligram. So if you have an 80 milligram oxycodone, you can make some good money. If you hear your kids talking about the purple drink, that is promethazine with codeine. They love that. They love that so much that Brandon got it for his birthday cake made out of one in that shape. Promethazine with codeine, it's your cough syrup. It's a Schedule 5 cough syrup. Yeah, I don't have enough time to go through all the schedules and all that stuff. Otherwise, I'd keep you here for a good hour plus. Fentanyl. This is why I don't want you guys opening up anything. Okay? Can anybody tell me what these two things have in common? Gummy bears and the guys in the hazardous suits. That is the only safe way to touch those gummy bears, because those gummy bears are filled with fentanyl. We took down a lab in Oklahoma. See, we got you, still got Oklahoma in there. So when your people are turning in their drugs and you're opening up the pill containers, you know, the pill container may say, because we had one that was trying to be so green, and they wanted to recycle the pill bottles, the plastic. So they were just opening them up and dumping them in, okay? The problem is that you don't know for certain that whatever, that they didn't put in whatever they found underneath their kid's bed into that pill bottle or into that Ziploc baggie. So if you're opening anything up, that is how much carfentanil it would take to kill you. And this is why you have a heroin epidemic. If you're hearing something about called the gray death, this is what happens. They're mixing the heroin with the active substance of fentanyl, but when you mix it together and you pill press it, all the pills aren't equal the same. And I'm running out of time. So most heroin users, while they start out with what's in the medicine cabinet, they didn't start out because they were legitimately given the drug. They started out because they found the drug in somebody else's cabinet. And they're 12. Okay. And it goes up. And it's continuing to go up. And I have a minute to spare.